Tyus has carried us really, the last 3 games. He's been tremendous. One of the best 3-game stretches he's had, shooting percentages and making plays for us in key spots. Cornell, he always makes that shot when you need it. He made the 2 shots at Ohio State at the end of the game, and then he made the real key shot against Cornell to get the lead back, and then one to put the game away. He makes those shots. But, tonight he just didn't really have a good rhythm against that zone. And, that's going to happen sometimes. But the other guys picked up. I thought Jalen did a good job, made a couple mistakes, but he made some really good passes in the middle. He rebounded it and hustled back and made a really good block. So I thought it was a good game for him. Buddy got a couple looks, knocked some down. That's always a good thing.
Welcome to the Q's Militia Podcast with those 2 unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
All right, what's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning into the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, as always, please share it and hit that subscribe button. I'm feeling a little festive today. I got a very dirty look from Joe, but that's okay. I can put up with it. I didn't run it past Joe. I didn't run the new open past Joe. That's okay. He'll get over it. All right, Syracuse cruises past Northeastern 72-49, and the old dogs from Georgetown, they're coming back to the Dome again Saturday, December 8th at 3:30. That I'm looking very forward to that game. So we will get into all that great stuff. But first, now you watch sports, obviously. If you are watching sports, the only way to make it better is to throw some money down on it, have some skin in the game. I mean, you've heard me talking about MyBookie for quite a while now, and whether you're an expert or a rookie, you should be betting over there at MyBookie. If you're the kind of guy or gal that likes to bet a little and win a lot, like playing numbers on roulette, then you can create a big parlay. Pick 3 teams to win. If you hit all 3, you could turn $100 into $600. There's a ton to bet on. All the sports, college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, NHL, custom props, even esports. It goes beyond sports. I mean, you can bet on politics. You can bet on what Hollywood star's gonna, what gender their baby's gonna be. I mean, it's ridiculous. Everything's in there. And so MyBookie is one bet I know you'll be happy with all year. I recommend these guys because I trust them. MyBookie has been in business for years. They got great online reviews, and their mobile site is easy to use. Sign up this week, and MyBookie will give you a 50% deposit bonus to jumpstart your bankroll. It's a great way to bank even more money when you win. Also, make sure you follow them at BetMyBookie on Twitter. They personally respond to every mention in DM. Not to mention, they've given away more than $10,000 in free money to their followers this football season. You'll be the first to know as soon as new odds and props are posted. Log on to MyBookie right now and use the promo code CUSE25 and get that 50% deposit bonus. That's promo code CUSE25. You play, you win, you get paid. MyBookie. All right. It is the holiday season, and there is one thing I do recommend this holiday season, and that is Dr. Donald Staffo's book, Syracuse Basketball and Jim Boeheim. Look, I don't do this because he's paying me. I don't get kickback from the book. I think it's a good book, and I think it would make a great Christmas present for another Orange fan in your life. Get one for you. Get one for them. Email him at dstaffo64@gmail.com. And
I'm getting one for me.
Yeah, get one for Joe.
No, I'm saying I'm getting one for myself. It's a Christmas present.
Well,
yeah.
Whatever. Get one for Joe anyway. You'll have 2 or 3. But email him, dstaffo64@gmail.com. He'll custom sign it for you. And, I mean, this is a meticulous book. It took him about 10 years to write. So, are you busy, Joe? Am I bugging you right now? Is the show interrupting your TV time?
No, not at all. Sorry.
Are you sure? Okay.
No, I mean, Duke's getting all they can handle right now from Hartford, so that's kind of fun to watch.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that is good. That is good to know. All right, so besides that, there's really no other updates. I mean, have you seen anything? There's nothing. It's very dull out there. It's been very dull the past couple days, ever since the bowl news. But look, so the 1 minute recap. is brought to us by JP Mulligan's. You know the deal. Every Monday through Friday, happy hour 4 to 6. Trivia Tuesdays, every NFL game every Sunday. And, of course, they play every Syracuse game there. Go there, grab some grub, grab some cold ones, hang out with Cuse fans.
Wings.
And, yeah. And if Nick's there, tell him to grab you some swag behind the bar, and he'll hook it up. So go there. Good times. Now, all right, as we've discussed, on with the show. The Orange improved to 6-2 on the year, spanking Northeastern 72-49. They started strong for once. They got out to an early lead. It was promising right from the get-go. They did Northeastern did close the gap a little bit, but we all know what happened in the end. Chukwu must listen, Joe, because he looked alive at times, totaling 8 points, 2 dunks, folks, 2, not 1, 2, 7 rebounds. A steal, 3 blocks. Chukwu's play, in my opinion, should not be worse than this. It's the minimal I expect him to do, or the minimum, I should say, I expect him to do. And I'm not trying to be hard on him, but this is where he should be at. This should be a mediocre game for him. So keep it up, keep it consistent, and then I'll be impressed. It was O'Shea Brissett, though, getting himself another double-double. That's his second of the season, leading Hughes with 21 points and 14 rebounds. He shot 46.6% overall. Hughes would not be kept down. He bounced back, following up Brissett with 17. He shot 6 for 11 from the field and 3 for 8 from distance. The nice thing about having a guy like Hughes is that he can be there on the off chance Tyus or O'Shea have a bad game, and it was Tyus last night, hitting 1 bucket for 2 points, and Howard matched him. So Hughes definitely adds that spark, and it's nice to see. Freshman Robert Braswell got his first points of the year, a 3, and then he finished with fine. And Buddy Boeheim got a career-high 11 points. He was 3 for 7 from 3. And Syracuse finished with 20 assists. 20 assists on 26 hits from the floor. So excellent there. And, I don't even know if you could ask for more than that. And they killed it on the boards, 43-29. So, Joe, here's my takeaway. I guess if you juxtapose this team to last year, when you have... Juxtaposed. Compare.
Okay.
Okay.
That second word was way easier, wasn't it? God.
Okay. You compare... You compare this to last year when we had, a star player or something in the game that was off. There wasn't always another player to lift them up. I think Dolezaj did it a couple times, but mostly towards the end of the year. In my opinion, that's what Hughes brings to this team. And we've talked about it, but I'm going to continue to talk about it because he keeps doing it. Now imagine if we could get to the point where all of these guys are firing on all cylinders and everybody's on fire. How difficult would that be if you get Howard back? I don't think Howard's 100%. You get Howard back to his normal self, and everything is clicking. It'd be sick.
Yeah. We're a lot deeper. We talked about it. So there's going to be games like this, and we won by 23, right? And Frank Howard and Tyus Battle had 4 points combined. So a lot of it, it's going to come down. It's always been our defense. A lot of the stats that come down from this game come down from the fact of the defenses that were played. Northeastern started with a 2-3 and went to a 3-2. So a lot of times you have to pass your way around. You can't go, one-on-one against the zone. So you got to pass the ball around, and that just a lot of times creates more assists. So I'm not really going to look at that assist number and think that that's going to stay consistent and steady. But looking at the other numbers, free throws are still a problem, but we did dominate on the boards, which we should against a team like them. But yeah, it was a good game. I know Boeheim, he talked about his press conference that he wasn't, that we didn't play that good in the second half, and there was a couple things he didn't really like. But to win by 23 and see some of the stats there with your key players like Battle and Howard, it's only a matter of time, man.
Yeah, he was maybe just a touch hard on him.
No, but I think he uses it as,
sure.
like a reverse psychology motivation type factor. He doesn't want them to get on their high horse because they got on their high horse after Ohio State, and then they almost, they came real close against Cornell. So you don't need to have that little emotional transition to where you get all, a big head going into a team like Georgetown on Saturday that can beat you if you do that. So I think that's more, the mental warfare, keeping them motivated,
Yeah. Northeastern came into the game. They were shooting. We mentioned this, how kind of dangerous they were. They were hitting buckets, man. 48.3% from the field and 41% from three. Syracuse held them to 34% even in field goals and 21.4% from three. They were chucking them up. They just weren't going in. And like Coach said, in the second half, it wasn't so much that the defense was great. It was that they just weren't hitting shots. And maybe they were throwing them up quick. Who knows? They were frustrated. They were trying to play catch-up the whole time. And they just weren't falling. And sometimes that's that's the best thing that can happen.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of the times what happens when you're a mid-major team like this that comes into the Dome. You got to be able to hit your threes. The teams that have relatively beat us when they shouldn't have at the Dome or in a non-conference game, they're hitting threes, and that's what they needed to do. They came in the early and they hit a couple. There's a couple deep ones they hit, but they had nothing inside. And as Syracuse's zone just kept creeping out farther and farther, and making those 3-point shots becoming more difficult and more farther away from the basket, eventually they started going cold. And then we, got a lead, and I think it kind of took away their confidence. And, that's kind of what happens in games like, these type of games, they either hit the threes and they're in the game, or they don't hit the threes and it happens like this. So
what was your take on Howard and how kind of flat he's been? Let me give you these numbers and then you can comment. Orange Fizz, they did some digging and they've came out with some stats here. I retweeted it, and you can check it out on Twitter at Cuse Militia. Syracuse without Frank Howard this year, they were 2-2. We talked about that. And the field goals percentage was 38.6, and 3-point percentage was 20.4. With Frank back after those first 4 games, they're 4-0, and in those last 4 games, 46.3% field goals, and 3 points have been falling at 37%. So, a definite improvement with him in there. Now, if he could start scoring and doing the little things that he did last year, I mean, he was a good scorer last year.
Right.
I mean,
he was. I think the one difference. Okay, so the difference between Howard and Jalen Carey, for instance, I think is just a fact of experience, and that Howard's used to running the offense. At times, Jalen Carey, it looked like he was struggling to kind of get it going. Is he a good player? No doubt. But I think it just comes down to experience. And again, one thing, like you talked about, having Elijah Hughes and being able to have that fourth scorer possibly that we didn't have last year. Last year, Boeheim didn't have the depth like we talked about last year to, kind of shorten the leash on Frank Howard. And, hey, you can't do this stuff, And Frank Howard was missing some shots, and I think he was playing a little frustrated, tried to make a little bit too much happen, overcompensate for not being able to score. And you saw that after that bad turnover, he yanked him real quick in the second half. And Jalen Carey came in, and Jalen Carey is an athletic, hungry guy. I mean,
yeah, did you see that block? He came out of nowhere for that block. It was almost Hakeem Moorish-ish.
Right, and the whole thing is it might come down to the fact of what you talked about. Maybe Frank Howard, he could be 100%, but you can get good to go. You could be 100%, but then you still got to work into, game form, game shape, and get the rust off. So I think he's still just in the middle of that, but you have Jalen Carey, who, you look at some of his stats, like you said, hustle stats. He had a steal. Frank
5
Howard
rebounds.
had 4, obviously, but he had the block. He had 5 defensive rebounds, which means he's going down and he's helping the forwards and the guys like that who got bodies on other people. And Frank Howard had none. So you just see a younger, bouncier kind of guy right now that is trying to do everything he can to just fight for minutes. And Frank Howard, he's just trying to get the rust off. So eventually it'll all work out. It's every year it's different with every team depending on the turnover. You have 4 guys that were used to basically playing all the minutes, and now we have depth, and that's a good thing. But now we have to figure out the minutes, figure out the roles, figure out how it all gets put together. And I think that got a little delayed because of the injuries, but now we're starting to see what it could be. And if it turns out Frank Howard 22 minutes, Jalen Carey 17, then that's what it is. But it's definitely a better effort than what it's been before Frank Howard was back. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's just more. It's more cohesive now. Everybody's kind of, they know their roles, and
they're starting to find their way, man.
Yeah,
they know what the road. They saw what they did last year. They have a goal. Battle didn't come back for nothing. Brissett probably going to go after this year. So they know the kind of talent they have on their team. It's just putting it together, man.
Dolezaj, he did grab. He grabbed 5 defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
He did a thing in there. He played a good chunk of minutes at center too.
18 minutes. Overall, but
overall,
it was all center. But either way, that he's going to go out there and he's going to.
But he did some scrapping though. He did his thing, and the points aren't always what we're all looking for. Because the little things that Carey did last night, and even Dolezaj, those lead to points.
They create points.
Right. That was my frustration with Chukwu. He was not doing anything. He wasn't creating anything. He wasn't just a body out there. He was just a number.
If you're not scoring, you gotta help somewhere else.
You gotta do something.
Mm-hmm.
And last night, I hope he keeps it up. But like I said, I think that's the least we can ask from Chukwu is 8 points. Okay. He seemed like he stayed out of foul trouble, but he did have 4. 2 blocks, a steal. That's great. 7 rebounds. So that I'm fine
2
with that.
2 for 4 from the free throw line. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that can improve. With the whole team needs to improve on that. 64%.
Yeah, Jalen Carey 0 for 3. He needs to.
Yeah, well, that's a good one because I was going to mention that, and maybe he's got to stay after and get form down. Who knows? But he'll get it.
Yeah, we're all back rimmed, man.
So
we're all dead on back rim. Just take a little bit off. He was probably a little amped up.
Yeah, and he hasn't been on the line a ton in that type of atmosphere. And you got 20,000 people watching you either. So, Syracuse is 7-0 all time against Northeastern. Tuesday night's game was their last matchup. Yeah, it was their last matchup since 2007, and it's the 5th time in a row they won by at least 20. So, any final thoughts on the game, Joe? Northeastern.
No, I just hope that it kind of helps Northeastern with their. I mean, we talked about it. They were missing 3 players that started pretty much every game last year, and one of them is the conference defensive player of the year, and the other guy that broke his wrist, which I didn't know, he's the conference player of the year last year. So they were shorthanded last night, and hopefully,
it showed
that game. Hopefully they'll help us out, and they can. Kind of dominate their conference like they did last year and make it look like a better win than what it would really look like with the players they had. So,
yep. All right, cool.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House, the best damn college sports fans in the nation.
All right. You know where to go, at Cuse Militia on Facebook and Twitter. And after every game, I propose a question and ask for your thoughts on the game. Hit us up there, and the top 10 make it to the show. But first, I just noticed this, and it was 8 hours ago. I had kind of a long day at work myself, and I know, Joe, you did. But the Dodd Trophy, it's time to start looking forward to this. And what they're doing is their official Twitter account is asking Syracuse fans to retweet and cast your vote. That's how you're casting the fans' vote for Dino Babers in the Dodd Trophy Coach of the Year. So I tweeted it at Cuse Militia. I retweeted it. Go there, retweet it, and that'll count your vote towards that. So go check that out. Let's see. What do we want to do here? What do you want to give some stuff away? Let's do that. All right, so here's one. Oh, and I got the last 3 reviews, iTunes reviews. One person contacted me, Matt Hodgson. He can still email me. I read his if he's listening, at Cuse Militia. And Brienne, I read hers. She didn't email me, at Cuse Militia. Email me your address. I'll get that stuff out. So here's one, and I don't know what this handle is. Gordy, Gyurdie, Gyurdie. Who cares, right? He knows I'm talking to him. He says, "Me love it." Okay, It's perfect English, in my opinion, on iTunes. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Go to so he's 5 stars. He said, "Here's the deal." So he's making a deal. He says, "Here's the deal. I give you 5 stars. I reviewed the podcast. You don't stop making them." You know what? Gordy die, whatever your name is, dude. Deal. It's a deal. So, yeah, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If I read it on the air, we will go ahead and you can email us at qsmilitia@gmail.com and give us your address, and we'll get that stuff out. So thanks. We appreciate it. That really helps us out. I know it's a pain hearing about it all the time, and I don't try to be self-aggrandizing or anything, but
that was a good one, Jordy. Email, get your swag bag.
Yeah, there you go. Jordy. There you go. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so on to fan feedback. Here we go. Let's see. All right, hey, at our buddy Captain Patrick, at Oil Cuse, that was a good warm-up for G-Town. Loved seeing Buddy score. Yeah. Good to get the confidence back after Cornell, and Buddy finding his stroke a little bit. So hopefully that trend continues, right, Joe?
Yes, sir.
At SoupCan11, love this guy here. Good to see Coach figuring out the rotation. I think Georgetown should prepare for a beatdown. Now,
I like it.
I like it, and it's time to just hate on Georgetown. You know why? Because it's that time of year where we play Georgetown. That's why. Pretty simple. And we'll get into that in a minute. At the Laugh Lap, he sends a GIF, says, tastes like victory. Which, yes, it did. It did taste like victory. Very good. At GeoHeater. Where you at? Great bounce back. Pascal made me eat my words. LOL. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, contributed. Great team win on to Saturday. It's 9:21 p.m. and Georgetown still sucks. Go Orange.
Yes. Hey, now, it's okay to eat crow, Gio. We've had to do it before.
Yeah, he did too,
The difference is being man enough to admit it.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not eating crow on the Chuku thing. I kind of disagree. I love how humble he is.
Whoa.
What?
You kind of banged on him, dude.
I did, and I love Pascal.
You banged on him more than I have.
Look, you know what?
I've noticed that I left it alone because because
you felt what you felt bad because I was too hard on him. I was too hard on the Beaver.
No, because he is what he is.
I know
we've seen it. We've seen it for 2 years.
I know. But here's the thing, I like Pascal. I have just been rooting for him so hard, and he keeps cutting me short, man. So
yeah, dude, I'm sure it's nothing personal.
Well. Well, he obviously listens, Joe. Okay?
Oh, yeah, because he dunked twice.
Because he dunked twice. Finally.
Finally wanted to make you happy. 2 years.
A little tough love, and he listened. So
a little or 2 years of it?
Oh, come on. We weren't that hard on him last year.
I mean, I wasn't, no. But, I don't know what's going on with you and Pascal.
Oh, get out of here. I'm not that hard on him. I just want him to be consistent. I don't think that's too much to ask for. At Stevie's Wonder. This was badly needed. We absolutely need to start showing consistency. Thank you. And we didn't play down to our competition here. Yeah, that's right. We did not play down to our competition. And like Joe said, they had some guys out, yada yada yada. But you know what? Who cares?
Don't yada yada yada.
I don't.
Now a win's a win, right? Oh, okay.
Well, they won by 23. It wasn't like facing Cornell. I think this team was better than Cornell. What do you think?
Yeah.
They didn't play better for this game.
I'm telling you, wait till they get their guys back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why
it's not the last we've heard of the Northeastern Huskies.
Yeah, and Roberta, she says, could not get the game in. Well, Roberta, maybe that's why hardly anyone left fan feedback. Because it was beat last night. I was so disappointed. TD says, at JD's Dad 3, win big with battle, not the high score is a good thing. Buddy getting some time. Yeah, and Coach mentioned it. I think we retweeted something, or you retweeted something from Nico Tamarian.
Yeah.
Where he pointed that out as well, that Frank and Tyus were both pretty flat, and we still beat them by 23, and it's still early, folks. So,
yeah.
Well,
and going and piggybacking on that last comment, too,
Which one?
The consistency one. Really, as long as we keep defensive consistency, then we're going to be in every game. It's just who's going to score. And if we get to a point where, a bunch of them are kind of hitting on the same night, then I feel bad for the other team.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you, Joe, that defense is our game. And
that's the most important. Yeah, it proved it last year in the tournament.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. So defense is our game, and if we can play defense, we can keep the score low, and we can force them down to taking some shots late in the clock, and it's frustrating. Yeah. It's got to be frustrating. It's a long team. They have the length to do it. They just got to.
Defense is effort. I mean, realistically, defense is effort, and that's more of a controlled thing. So it's easier to rely on defense to keep you in a game than offense. So. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it just statistically is. Yeah. And that's what the zone does. So we got to get there. And that's the consistency that we need to at least stay in these games. And the offense will come. We got too much talent.
All right. Sorry, Joe. I wasn't trying to shut you up. I just thought you were freaking done already.
No, it was perfect.
Former Big East rival, Georgetown, head to the Dome on Saturday at 3:30. I believe this one's going to be on ESPN. The former legend and former Hoya hater, I should say, 50% of the Louie and Bowie show. Louis Orr returns to the Dome as a Hoya. And, it's a little disappointing and it's a little sad, but the man's got to work. So,
seriously, guy's trying to be a coach, man. Come on.
I know, but come on. The Hoyas? Come on. Jeez.
Why didn't Boeheim hire him?
That's a good freaking question. I don't know. Didn't they just retire his jersey not that long ago?
Yeah.
He should have got in then for an interview, for crying out loud. What the hell? When they spelt Roosevelt Bowie's name wrong on his freaking jersey. That's the history of that. All right, these fools are 7-1. They've only played away from home once this year. Their single loss was to Loyola Marymount, 88-80, and they were at home. They're shooting 47.3% field goals and 36% from behind the arc. They got a couple of shooters that are well into averaging double digits a game, and two that are on the cusp of getting into double digit averages per game. So, Joe, I'm looking at their schedule this year so far. A lot of high scoring games, including their opponents. So, I mean, the Richmond Spiders scored 82 on them, and they won 90-82. Liberty U, they beat them by 10, 88-78. So, is their offense really good? Is their defense really bad? Well, what's going on?
It's a little bit of both. They play really, really fast. I think a lot of their record just has to do with who they played. Last year, if you remember when we played them, they were undefeated, or they were around the same record.
No, they were undefeated, I believe. That game went in overtime.
Yeah, we ended up winning by 13 in overtime, but they ended up the season 15-15. So a lot of that just tells me that they just had an easy non-conference, and that kind of looks like it to be the case. I mean, they did win a game at Illinois, which, I mean, that's a solid game.
That's your signature win, Illinois. I mean, there's South Florida's on here.
Right, but based upon, I looked at Ken Pom, we moved up, or we stayed the same. I keep forgetting every week, but we're at 18th right now. He's got us at 31 adjusted offense, and I think top 10, 9 or 7 or something adjusted defense. But he's got Georgetown at 93, and they're just not a very experienced, complete team. It's Patrick Ewing's second year as a head coach, and he actually got the best recruiting class last year since 2015. The problem is that he doesn't have a lot of talent from last year returning, so the expectations really aren't that high. They did return the senior Jesse Govan, 6'10" center, who averages 19.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds. He's been their leading scorer 5 out of the 8 games they played. And last year when they played, he scored 21 points and had 8 rebounds. So he was the leading scorer of that game, I believe. But this team is filled with basically just young guys. Jamarco Pickett, sophomore, 6'8" guard, averages 6 points, 5 rebounds. He played in last year's game, did okay. Senior Trey Mourning, Alonzo Mourning's son, 6'9" forward. He averages 9 points, 6 rebounds a game. And Jagan Mosley last year scored 20 points against us, but he is actually kind of far on the depth chart, which kind of makes me a little weary because they have 3 freshmen that play more than him. And their best freshman, he was a top 100 player, James Ajinko. He's 6 foot, averages 14 points, 5 assists. And I don't know if you remember that guy, Matt McClung. I sent you a video.
Yeah, you sent me a highlight or whatever it was.
Yeah. He's a 6'2" guard, and he's a freshman as well. He averages 8 points a game, but he's a pretty electric player. He's all over the internet with his dunks and the fact that he pulls out some dunks that a 6'2" white guy probably shouldn't. But nonetheless, he's on the team as well. And they have another freshman, Josh LeBlanc, 6'7" forward, who's averaging 9 points and 7 rebounds. So, I mean, that last, you mentioned Liberty, they won by 10. I believe they had somewhere close to 10 or 11 players that played over 10 minutes in that game. So it just seems to me like Patrick Ewing's still trying to figure it out too. He's trying to figure out his team, and he subs a lot, and they play fast, they play loose, so there's a lot of turnovers. And yeah, I mean, that's basically what we're looking at. We got that one guy, senior Jesse Govan. Other than that, it's kind of pretty much a crapshoot. So it's going to be interesting to see how these freshmen and some of these younger guys can play against this zone, because it's a lot better than what it was when they played them last year.
So how's Campbell? Because they scored 85 on him. I mean, I'm just curious. Because they give up a ton of points. And,
right.
That's it's going to be whether or not we can capitalize on that. But, they can play as fast as they want. I think if they – what do you think? Syracuse is going to be able to slow them down. There's no doubt about it. But –
oh, yeah, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
If they plan on playing fast, they're going to be taking bad shots. And looking at some of their height, I mean, they got some big guys, but overall, we should be pretty close in the rebound battle.
What are they averaging for turnovers a game? Do you have any idea? It's not 15, is it?
15? Well, I don't know. That's a lot of turnovers if it is, though.
No, that ain't it. Well, my point is that if you're going to try to play fast against Syracuse in the Dome on Saturday at 3:30, I mean, you might get away with it for a little bit, but eventually that length's going to reach out, and it's going to be it could be a disaster for them.
Right. I mean, I guess really it just comes down to how their freshman guards play. They rely a lot on their freshman guards, James Ajinko and Matt McClung. They both started against Liberty. They've started the past couple of games, and you're starting 2 freshman guards. It's really a crapshoot. I mean, they're talented, absolutely, but this is the first time they're going to be playing against the zone like that, and they're 6 foot 6'2". So
right.
I mean, they're going to be the smallest guys in the court.
Yeah.
Like the whole game. So
yeah. Well, what's his name? Matt. What's his name there from Cornell? What was his name?
Oh. God.
Come on. Matt Morgan.
Gorman?
Matt Morgan. Matt Morgan, 6'1".
I said Gorman.
Oh, did you? Matt Morgan was 6'1". So, yeah. Well, all right. So
I mean, I would guess that this line is going to be around 8 or 9. I mean, it's probably going to be single digits, but high.
That's
7, 8, 9.
That's what we're going to do. When the line comes out, Joe, you're going to tweet. You're going to tweet it. You're going to tweet your pick out. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
That way, there you got the line. You can tweet your pick out. And
but
go ahead.
The good thing that I saw is, I mean, and I don't know what you saw, but it doesn't seem like this team is overly got really like a crazy like sharpshooter or like some guy that their 3-point shooting doesn't look.
Govan, whatever. I mean, he's the big guy in the middle, and he's just putting stuff back. It looks like, and that worries me. I'll tell you what, a big center that knows what he's doing worries me more than an Alonzo Mourning or a Ajinko.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and that's last year. That's what he did. I mean, they kind of beat them up down low. I mean, that's why it was what it was.
Did I say Alonzo Mourning, by the way?
Alonzo Mourning is his son plays for the team.
Yeah, I know. So, I think I said Alonzo Mourning. I meant Mourning, whatever.
I mean, he's 6'9" and he rebounds up there, and like the freshman, the 6'7" freshman, Josh LeBlanc, he's a pretty good rebounder too. So we're definitely gonna have to get bodies on people. And last year they wore us up. They wore us down. We got lucky because I believe their
we came
power
back
forward
in that game too.
Yeah, I mean, we came back in that game, and I believe their power forward Derrickson, because they were killing us with the high-low with their power forward in the center, Govan. I think Derrickson. I think he. I want to say it's his name. He fouled out, and after that, it was a completely different ball game. So they exposed us last year, and they're probably going to try to do the same thing. So we got to kind of stop that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do kind of make that effort and see some kind of make them hit a couple threes, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what Louis Orr remembers about the 2-3 zone that he can pass on to those guys, but, you know, he played for Jim Boeheim, and he knows the deal.
Yeah, so, well, when 4 out of your top 8 guys who play the top minutes are, like, 3 of them are freshmen and 1 of them is a sophomore.
It's tough.
They haven't seen the zone, so, yeah, it's tough. I mean, you're asking those guys to go out there and figure it out, you know, and that's what it's going to be. So if we can just jump on them in the beginning, like you mentioned, all these other teams have scored so many points on Georgetown. We just have to go out and we just have to just kind of just put the pedal to the metal. And if we can do that, we should be able to get a good lead, not allow them to kind of feel themselves out and kind of maybe put them in a quicksand situation where it's just they don't really feel like they're ever going to be able to take themselves out, you know?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going to iTunes and doing that. We appreciate you guys for that. We appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the interactions on social media. Y'all know that the email at Houston Militia Gmail or yeah, okay. Hold on. We'll edit that out. HoustonMilitia@gmail.com is always open to you guys, and we questions, comments, suggestions, whatever you got, it's always open. So, thank you, JP Mulligans. Thank you, Shopping Town Barbershop. And thank you, my bookie, Armchair All-Americans. You folks, again. And that's it. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace. Beat Georgetown.
Oh, that sounds a little...
Thanks for listening to the Q's Militia Podcast. The Fan's Voice with Sean and Joe.
It's a little light for right after the beat Georgetown comes in, but 'tis the season. Stop shaking your head. Stop. Jeez. It's Christmas time, man.